Hello, Oscar. Welcome to another edition of the Offload.
A finals edition.
It is a
double finals edition.
but not the final edition.
No, an almost final.
See what I did there? Let's jump straight into it. There's only 4 games of footy this weekend. 2 girls, 2 guys.
Yep.
Let's start with the NRLW. Sunday, 2 o'clock, the Brisbane Broncos ladies and the Cronulla Sharks.
Yep.
Bronx are $1.40, Cronulla $3.
Rightly so, I think.
What's revenue tractor there, mate?
Yeah, the Broncos were my tip earlier in the year. Their forward rotation stacked. They roll downfield really easily, even over the last few weeks when they've conceded slow starts and been first to concede points. They soak up pressure really well. Ali Brigginshaw makes smart decisions on fifth tackle with her kicking game. And then they just, like I said, they roll downfield very easily, productive outside backs and a strong forward rotation. They have made a habit this season of scoring late in the halves, either just before halftime or just before full time. And often, it's particularly over the last few weeks, it's come when they're behind on the scoreboard and they need points. So I've been really happy with how the Broncos have been able to respond under pressure and take limited opportunities. Key to that, it's been the variety they threaten with. Mele Hufanga, who we talk about every week.
Beast.
Her and Julia Robinson and Gail Broughton on the left edge. And then Bronx on the right, Brigginshaw, Shanae Sazolko got a double last week. And Hayley Maddock, who's the leading try assister in the NRLW. They've just too much threats across the park. So, yeah, I really like Broncos. Melee to score, and then Lauren Dam on the right wing as well. I think it's good value there.
You still with them to win the whole damn thing?
Pretty confident, yeah. I think they're into about $2.50 in the futures markets now. They kicked off at $4.75, so very happy if you followed on that early season tip.
Very nice. And then just after that game, 4:15 p.m, the Chookies are playing the Knights.
They are.
And you disagree with the bookies here, don't you?
Come back to bite me.
The Roosters are $1.58, Newcastle $2.40, but
I'm with the Knights.
You're looking Newey's way.
Big time, yeah.
Pitch it to me.
I think the market, is overreacting to the Roosters putting on cricket scores over the last few weeks. They've versed some really poor defensive teams, and they've been able to just bully their opposition in yardage, set up camp in good ball, and then they just keep crashing over. Amber Hall, Atessa Pule, Olivia Koenig have all scored in back-to-back weeks recently. The Knights aren't going to let Easts roll downfield that easily on Sunday. They've got one of the most productive outside backlines in the competition, still a really strong forward rotation, and then they finish their sets smartly through Jessie Southwell and Georgia Roach. But for Newcastle, it's all about Tamika Upton, even if you don't
best player in the world, surely.
The NRLW. Tamika Upton in the women's game right now is a bit like how I imagine Nathan Cleary would be if he actually did go to the Super League at the moment. She has averaged 3 try involvements per game this season, which is ridiculous. Either scoring and setting up 2 or crossing for a double herself. Whenever she gets a 2-man short side, she runs down there, double pumps to send the winger out and then puts her centre in. I think Abigail Roach, who I've tipped on the Neds blog this week, but also Shanice Parker on the other edge. Yeah, it's Newcastle or no one for me in this one.
So you've got a Broncos-Newcastle grand final.
Yep.
Multi that up, that's $3.36 just quietly. Now, I'm reminded constantly in the comments that I'm just a filthy casual when it comes to my rugby league knowledge.
Yeah, they really like us in the comments.
Oh, they absolutely get stuck in. Fair enough, it's engagement, so makes us look better. My filthy casual brain, I can't see either of these games being anything but 13 plus in the blokes this weekend.
In the boys?
Storm 13 plus, Penrith 13 plus.
Yep.
Are you with me? Are you against me? Let's start with the Melbourne Storm game here. What are you seeing?
Maybe I'm giving too much credit to preliminary final caliber teams. Generally, we see tighter games. I think we spoke about the injuries that the Chooks have at the moment, which has been really disappointing for them. Good to see Radley back last week. Yeah, I'm all over Melbourne first up. I just think the way that they threaten, a bit like the Broncos in the NRLW, if Jerome Hughes and Ellie Katoa are carving up one week, then easy. Cam Munster just sits in the passenger seat and just lets them run the show. If they're getting double marked, then Harry Grant will do something through the middle of the field. Munster will chime in. He's only been back a couple of weeks, but he's running the ball, I think, an average 23 and a half times or something per game, which is really encouraging for someone who's struggled with injuries all year. So, yeah, I'm all over Melbourne here. I think they've been the most consistent team of the competition all season. They can soak up pressure and absorb. They stay in the grind really well, a bit like what Manly did to start the game last week, but we just knew they couldn't go with the Chooks for the 80 minutes. I think that's where Melbourne can be different here.
The line's gone up a point since we started recording. It was 9.5 this morning. It's out to 10.5 now. So Are you sticking with me, Melbourne 13 plus, or are you going to just take that line?
Jeez.
It's only, 2 points?
Only a couple of points.
But
yeah.
That's the difference between winning and losing.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there.
All right. And then, look, you're a big fan of the Sharks.
That's a smoky, isn't it?
I don't rate Cronulla at all. I hope that doesn't cause a riot in the comments. But this is Penrith 13 plus for me, and I don't see any other way around it.
Yeah, I think what Nathan Cleary did in week 1 of the finals after being out for 5 or 6 weeks, scary, scary stuff. Picking out Sean Johnson, we talked about him on the podcast, but how he broke down how Cleary put Luke Garner over for that second try against the Roosters, spending 4 or 5 tackles, positioning James Tedesco in the line and then pulling the trigger early. No other player in the competition manages or controls a game like Cleary does. So, yeah, I mean, everything that I know about rugby league tells me that the Panthers win this one easy, but it's our job to find a bit of value here as well, or at least steer the punters towards it. I think there's a world that Cronulla can cause the upset of the century maybe here. In order for them to do it, I think they need a couple of things to go right. Their outside backs need to continue being super productive. Mulatalo, Katoa, Ito, and Ramian all had 20-plus carries last week. So if you want to beat Penrith, you need those guys carrying you out of yardage cleanly so that your forwards don't have to do a lot of shit work working out of your own end. And then their offloads, 18 offloads against the Cowboys. When the Sharks are rolling through the middle and generating second phase play, they're really hard to contain. And that helps to disrupt what is the best defensive system in the competition. That's why the Eels have had a really good track record against Penrith over the last few years when they generate second phase play and offload. So, yeah, should be Penrith, but I think there's a world where the Sharks can play to their strengths and maybe sneak home with an upset here.
Fair enough. The Penrith are $2.05 for 13 plus. Melbourne Storm are $2.10 for 13 plus. Surely the shortest price for a blowout in finals history. You multi that up, you're getting $4.30. I'm probably going to have a crack at that. Look, let's wait and see. We could be wrong. It could be 2 classic.
It's going to be entertaining.
Close arm wrestles. Yeah. We'll find out.
See you next week, mate.
Chances are you're about to lose. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.